Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and today my guest is Antonio Diaz and Tony McCullough. This is part one of my interview with them. They created the 15 Short Film Festival. This is the 19th edition. This is the first Charlotte Film Festival, and I believe the oldest. The show starts on Friday, October 13th at 7 p.m. at the Independent Picture House, and you can get your tickets at Eventbrite. So this is my interview with them. This is part one. Enjoy. Okay, I have a guest with me today, actually two guests today. I have Tony McCullough and Antonio Diaz, and they are the creators of the 15 Short Film Festival. How are you doing, guys?
Great, man. Appreciate you having us, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So my first question is, where did both of you guys grow up?
Remember the first time?
I actually was born in the Rockville, Maryland area. I lived in Rockville, Maryland, DC area till I was about 7. And then my folks who are from the South, they moved back here. So we got to Charlotte probably back in about 78. So from 78 on, I've been here. I've sort of gone, schooling, come and gone. And then I'm also a musician. So I've come back, left and come back again.
And I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Went to college in Laurinburg, North Carolina. Came back to Charlotte. And that's where I live now in Charlotte.
Cool. Were you guys both interested in the arts as a kid?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. We come from musical backgrounds and going to the theater and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because you also played football as well.
Well, basketball.
Okay, basketball.
My mom wouldn't let me play football, unfortunately, but basketball.
Okay.
I wish I could have played, yeah.
No. That's probably a good thing now.
Yeah.
with
Tony
what we
played
know.
some football, but
Not really. My sports were, I actually think I did track for a little bit, but what happened was I decided I wanted to play an instrument. So after getting the instrument, I did that all through schooling as far as, junior high and 12th grade. And then when it was time to decide what I wanted to do, I also at the same point wanted to be an animator. So I was trying to figure out, would it be visual or audio? And so I ended up going to SCAD for about 3.5 years. Unfortunately, I didn't finish. I was a double major there. I was video and illustration. So went there, took my horn, and then, late night working on projects, 3, 4 in the morning, horn is calling me. So I ended up coming back to Charlotte to do music. So
Cool.
that's how we met.
And that's how I met Tony. And
That's
hopefully, as things go with the universe and everything, everything will come full circle. And if I do something, I can add some of the video stuff that I started to work on,
Cool.
there at art school. So hopefully it will be a combining of the music and the visual.
So what instruments do you guys play?
I am the percussionist for our band. Name of our band is Groove 8. We're actually celebrating our 15th year, 16th maybe, I'm not really sure. But we started in Charlotte and we're still touring and performing. So I'm the percussionist. Like pretty much the saying goes, every drummer is percussionist, but not every percussionist is a drummer. So we have a drummer in the traditional trap sense, and I'm more of the hand drums and ethnic drums.
And basically I do saxophone and I do vocals. So those are the two things I've been concentrating on.
So you came together in Charlotte. What was it about the two of you that kind of like just meshed?
I was introduced to him by another band that we were playing with, and their band was doing pretty well in Charlotte. And then their band ended up dissolving into different projects, and our band the same. And so we just basically merged the dissolving members into one band. So just the love of music, and being on the Charlotte music scene. We've been here a long time on the Charlotte music scene. People just don't know, so we've been doing it a very long time.
Talk a little bit about that, because you guys have seen the Charlotte, music scene. Talk about the evolution of Charlotte where it is now. What do you think is missing?
Oh, as far as people showing up for your shows?
Yep, that's the one.
Well, I'm sure he's got a lot to say about it. But off the top of my head, I think one of the things that really Charlotte has some really talented musicians, incredible talent, incredibly talented musicians. And the problem is, and we were on a WFA podcast about the band, and we talked at that time. We talked about how we felt like from the beginning we weren't just going to be a Charlotte band. We were going to branch out and tour. And the traditional way of doing it, you form a band, you play original music, you create you become part of the music scene in your city, you blow up on that scene, and you go regional, Chapel Hill, Raleigh, so forth and so forth, and then you tour nationally. And that's what we have done. So it's really funny is that people will spend $100 to $200 on these famous people, and I get it; they're famous. You know, it's a famous person world now, and then they'll have the same. And I'm not saying we're as talented as Earth, Wind, and Fire, or whoever, but I would say that the talent they won't come and pay $10 to see us. And that pisses quite frankly, a lot of the musicians in Charlotte off. So they go out of town. So what we did was we were when I met Tony, the scene in Charlotte was incredible. Like people went out to see local bands, and this was what, the 2000s, early 2000s. They would come out, and we came down, and they welcomed our band from Winston-Salem with open arms, and we became part of that scene. Our whole band moved. My original band moved from from Winston-Salem to Charlotte. And we became, that scene in the early 2000s was people supported live music. Somewhere along the line in the late 2000s, people stopped supporting live music, local live music. And the real troopers will go out. Not everybody is like that. I mean, we still have the neighborhood theater, Evening Muse, Petra's, but we had a lot more places to play in Charlotte before then. Even Noda, as much as Noda has changed, Noda was like the center point where bands would just come after their gigs across the city and get together and have jam sessions at a place called Fat Tuesdays, which is no longer there. The scene was hot. The DJs and everybody was a collaborative, but now it's more or less pretty much if you do original music, you need to travel. And we have more, Spotify informed us that we have more fans in California than we do in North Carolina. We have more fans in San Francisco than we do in Charlotte. There may be a musical taste, but then it hurts you because your home base is Charlotte. No matter where you go, you're going to come back to your home base. But Tony probably has a more unique spin on it than I do.
What I remember is that back in the day, bands were unified. The whole scene was unified. So they would help each other out, whether it was music, visual arts, or whatever. The thing that I remember happening, though, is when you have a scene that is doing that, and then all of a sudden, your clubs and your venues or wherever you're trying to showcase your stuff starts to disappear, it kind of changes things. And so then it becomes, you have all these bands all trying to fit into these clubs. And then you have this thing where, okay, you can only play once a month at this place. You can't play anywhere else. And so it started getting very rigid. They started having all these rules. And certain bands that I remember, that's when everybody really decided, okay, well, if we weren't going to travel to share this stuff and showcase it, now we have to, because everything is getting smaller and smaller. And so as it stands now, a lot of the places now have been gentrified. So where clubs used to be, you have these high rises and you have everybody that's coming in, not because they're necessarily artists, but because they're trying to be seen. They want to be cool. And, it's good for real estate to have something where people, where a thing is, I guess, is maybe iconic, or an area is iconic or very popular, like a Plaza Midwood or North Davidson Street, where Fat City was, which is an example, which are high rises now. So the scene has changed a lot.
Would you say that that's kind of the rise of capitalism in some ways? Because I would say it's not just that. I would say, look at the movie theaters.
Same
used
thing.
to be Valentine Village.
Same thing.
Theaters that's disappearing. I mean, we're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of that. So
And the fact that you have
it's
one independent theater in
Yeah,
Charlotte
yeah, it's
of a
just
city of
bad.
millions is just sad, man. And
Well,
it's
the,
not the only place. Like you said,
yeah.
it's capitalism and it's happening. I mean, I mean, movie theaters were losing money anyway during COVID, but still, people are starting to go back to the theaters now.
and the other thing I noticed too is that while all this is happening, though, the punchline or the caption is we are an advocate for the arts. But really? So if you are, what arts are you an advocate for? Money? Is that the
Yeah.
art of money or what? So, it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting, man. It's just all these little twists,
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah.
think it touches on a problem we're seeing in just arts in general in America is we're just, in New York City, there used to be places where, artists could live that were affordable.
Yeah.
And, we
Yeah.
took that down. No, we can't have that. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're seeing the end goal of that. And I'm when I talk to people that want like unregulated capitalism, I'm like, well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have bad drinking water. You're going to have people just cutting corners. You're going to see, like I said, loss of clubs, loss of culture. Frank Zappa said that America is a country without culture. And I sometimes feel that that's kind of true. We've kind of
Yeah.
appropriated a lot of different cultures, but like, what is America's culture? You know,
Yeah.
money.
And yeah, and that's a good
Right.
point. And the fact that a musician said that, but I still believe in the other side, and I believe that music, we've seen the impact of how our music affects people. I've
Yeah,
seen how the impact of certain films impact people. And I always of the belief that and I'm from a civil rights type family. We
yeah,
always, preach the gospel. And I am of the belief that there are so many other good people. And when I say good, I mean the ones that support cultural arts and the ones that do things like that. And that they are going to eventually overwhelmed. Talent to me always overwhelms negativity. You know,
yeah,
there's so much out there politically and all this and all that. Then you see what's going on in Gaza and all that stuff. And I try to stay in tune. I was told this by a musician one time, an older guy. He said, find a cause, find a cause as a musician, find a cause. And that is so true because all of these musicians out there have such a big platform. Even if our platform is small, we're in a specific genre that the average American public does not really even know about, but we're a
mm,
blend of all the different types of music that we've been influenced by and bringing together. I also many years ago I sat on this panel that had some amazing people on it. It had Angela Davis, who was ex Black Panther and professor. It had I can't think of the guy's name. I always forget his name, but he was the president and founder of Blue Note. He passed away. I forget his name. He was on the panel. Steve Coleman, a great saxophonist, was on the panel. And also there was Harry Edwards, who is a sports sociologist at the San Francisco State University. It's, recognized. But they were on the panel, and the name of the panel was "Is Jazz Black?" And the
mm,
whole purpose of it was to bring up that conversation, but the main purpose was to say how jazz is uniquely American. Like we've
yeah,
created, that's what I'm saying. The opposite of what Zappa would say. We've created so much culture. I hear it all the time, like, "Yo, go back to your country, or go back to Africa, or go back to Middle East, go whatever." And if
yeah,
all those really ethnic people left the United States and all that culture they brought, this country would be so stale. And I'm not saying that non-brown or black artists haven't created anything. There's a lot of them that have, but it's because like this country is a melting pot of talent and inspirations. Like we're inspired by musicians from different genres. Like we're not just inspired by musicians, and we're inspired by filmmakers from different genres. One night we might go see a horror movie, next night we'll go see Scorsese or something. So yeah, thank God that we were brought up,
yeah,
in more of a multicultural
yeah.
positivity than some people are. But I see where you're going with it, and it is going.
Yeah.
We just got
I
to fight it.
mean, yeah, I just feel like, yeah, We need people, but you brought up a good point. People aren't showing up to support, the talent. They're not coming to the thing. Why do you think that is? Is it just because they're like, why do I want to go there? I'll just listen to it on is it just
I don't really know. I don't know. I would rather see a live band than listen
yeah.
to them on a this. I don't know the disconnect of why Charlotte's music scene is the way it is compared compared to other cities of its size or even
Yeah.
smaller.
You look at,
But it
Memphis or places like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Memphis, Chapel Hill still has a
Yeah,
thriving
Chapel
music
Hill is
scene.
still good.
It's
Yeah.
thriving music scene,
Mhm.
and it's always been that way. Who else? Atlanta still has a good thriving music
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
And the Charlotte musicians get blamed a lot for. We have a lot of cover bands here, and there's nothing against that. That's what you want to do. That's fine.
Yeah.
And we both played in bands that do covers, weddings, and all that. But they really are the ones that get the work. They really are because people
And I
don't want
see
to hear
that.
they don't want to hear your stuff. They want to hear something that they've heard before.
And that may be one of the reasons too, is because you have radio stations, and we know how radio works. It is geared to certain types of music and what is popular. And if you hear a song, let's say you cut the radio and you may hear a popular song, you're probably going to hear it maybe 3 or 4 times within an hour, the same song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are programmed kind of to hear that and be like, okay, I like this. This must be popular, so I'm going to go for this. So if there is something possibly, and not to say the collective, everybody in the collective is like this, but sometimes it is easier for people to follow than to sort of branch out and say, okay, I haven't heard of this. This is interesting. I'm going to try this out.
Mm-hmm.
But I know this band, and I know they're, I know all these people will be at this show, and I know this song, I can sing the words, or I know these melodies, but I don't know this. So it's kind of like, even like going to an art exhibit. Some
Yeah.
people will do that, visual arts. They may take the chance, it may make them uncomfortable, so they may not, but some may go and take the chance because they want to broaden their horizons and maybe, just open their scope of learning. So
Same thing with films.
that's the same thing with films.
Same things with films.
Same thing. So
Yeah.
that's why you would go see, and I better not say it. I'm not going to name it. I'm gonna stop. There's a
I know what you're gonna say.
I will be quiet. I'm not going to say that. But there's a popular movie that that comes out and has certain colors in it, and everybody goes to see it. And then you have a movie, you may have a David Lynch movie that comes out, and people are like, "What?"
What is this?
Used to that, or they don't know
Yeah.
what it is. So their uncomfortability arises, and so they may not check that out because of what they've heard, instead of going to check out what their interests may be. Just to bring
Yeah.
it out. And so
Do
yeah,
you
it happens
think
a lot, man.
do you think that culture has now kind of become comfort in some ways, and that may be part of it? Because you brought up David Lynch, and you brought up like people just want what they're familiar with.
Yes.
Same thing
Yeah.
with like how a sitcom works, and that kind of has just permeated the culture.
Yeah.
Do
And
you
that's
think it's
why,
also an advertising? Do you think that do you think enough people know about it?
well, I think advertising has to do with it, because those other films and those other songs, they get plastered all over the place.
Yeah.
And so the stuff that may be indie or international or avant-garde, you may have to actually search for those, unless you're on those formats. If you're already on the thing where you're looking at independent film channel on television, or you're streaming stuff, then you would know about it. But if you've
Yeah.
never heard of anything like that, then on the radio, or you're looking at regular television and you see this commercial, once again, so like the music, you're watching a commercial, let's say you're watching a sitcom, and that commercial comes up at least 3 times during the sitcom. Oh, okay, well, that might be something good to check out. So it's definitely advertising, I believe.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
if
Yeah.
you're not open, or you don't know about independent advertising, then you may not know about independent film or an international deal. So that's what I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
No, I agree. So let's transition into the 15 Short Film Festival. How'd you guys come up with that name?
Well, I we had a gig and it was in, I don't know where it was, like it was in Concord or somewhere like that. And I was after the gig, I was sitting down, I was thinking, man, Charlotte doesn't, because we go to a lot of movies. We pretty much go to a movie every weekend. We're single, everybody. But single, man, I do hang out with your boys. And we're like brothers. But anyway, just a shameless dating plug right there. I'm sorry. So anyway, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, Charlotte doesn't really have a film festival at that time that was dedicated to, they would have like little events where they would play like sneak previews and things like that. But they didn't have a film festival or preview or free screenings that dealt with short films. So I was like, you know what? And I sat there, I was like, and I had a napkin. I was like, I'm gonna write this out. So I was like, I came up with the idea and I thought I got to come up with a name that's kind of not catchy, but kind of nobody else will think of. So then I came up with 15 and I looked online, and this was way back. Like the internet's gotten much better since then. This was 19 years ago.
Oh,
And I realized that there was a festival, and I came up with 15 first, and there was a festival called 15 minutes of something something. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna go there. And then I thought, what about 15 short film festival? And it would be a play on words. Your 15 minutes, because your 15 minutes of fame, because every major director, including Spielberg, they start out with short films. His first film was a short film, which they ended up making a movie about him filming the short film, biography. I don't know if it just came out.
The Fablemans.
Yeah, the Fablemans. So that was a short film that he was doing as a kid with the Super 8 camera. And then I thought, okay, that's one. And then 15, and I thought they can't be any longer than 15 minutes. They can be up to 15 minutes. They can be a minute. They can be 4 minutes. So I came up with the idea, wrote it all down on a piece of napkin, and I kind of just willed it in the force. Like I literally went on, and like I said, the internet wasn't as information loaded as it is now, but there was enough to get me going. And I thought, this is going to be a Herculean task. Like, who is going to want to submit films to this thing? Everybody that I looked were charging fees. And the first thing on mine was, how about we don't charge fees and we accept any kind of film the first year? So I had like a little house over there in Noda. I put up on all these free submission sites that, like Freeway is the place to go now to put your festival up, which I actually, after 19 years, I finally did it today. I mean, it's a place for filmmakers to go and submit their films. But so then I put up the email address, I got the Facebook page, and I just started like shooting out to I started looking for all these directors of short films. And then I put out, we're not charging for submissions. So that did the trick, right?
Yeah.
So that first year, 19, you got to remember, 19 years ago, there was no digital downloads. It was all DVD.
There was no phone.
Right. So
no iPhone.
We were overwhelmed. That first year we got like 700 DVDs or something like that. And they were coming to my house like every day. Now, some of them were not worthy of a film festival, I should say. We got.
I listen.
I'm not going to even go there because you probably have a family friendly.
Well, I mean, as long as we don't say anything,
Well, I'm not going
to derogatory.
You got some porn. Some of them were porn.
You got some porn films.
It was a bunch of those, and then there was also a bunch of snuff films, which I thought, or they were trying to act like they were killing somebody, there were political films, and then so we just like, okay, we got to sit down. So me and my roommate at the time, Scott, he passed away, unfortunately, after COVID. And Scott and I said, it was just me and him. And Tony would come over every now and then because he lived in the area. And we would just rifle through all those DVDs and play them. Then we're like, okay, that's in the trash. Oh, we'll consider this. That's in the trash. So we willed it down. I think we got like 700, willed it down to like maybe 20. And in the first year, I was trying to do too much. I tried to have a band. I found Joe at the interviews, let us put the film festival on there the first year. I had a band. I was giving out awards. People that, like my friends were getting awards that were filmmakers, and Brunson, who used to write for the Charlotte Observer, got an award. Chris Ivey, who was a director friend of mine from Charlotte. And I was doing too much. It was just too much. Yeah. And we had a lot of technical gas because, DVDs would get scratched. It was a mess, but it sold out. It sold out. I mean, that little room, 60 people, boom. And then as the years went by, I started getting really to tone it down. So didn't really hire them because they've done it. I paid two interns about 5 or 6 years in. They still help me out. They're both filmmakers. One of them, Alex, went to UCLA, and then Amy went to USC. So they both went to film school. But when they were 16, 17, 18, they were helping me with the films when they would get the films and break it down with me. Because after about 5 years, we finally got our footing and we started becoming, I would say, more professional.
Yeah.
In relation to what other film festivals would do. So we got on people's radar. And the first film that we got was a film called, oh my God, what's the name of that film now? I lost my mind.
Curfew?
Yes,
Curfew.
And Curfew ended up getting nominated for an Oscar. So we blew up because if you look at the history of that film, he was shocked as anyone that he got nominated for an Oscar. But it played at our festival first. That was one. And then there was another one from Finland called, I think it was a comedy. It was about a family trying to getting her kids up and going to a wedding. And they ended up going to the wrong church and it was a funeral. And it was something like, do I have to do everything? And it just showed the whole process of the mom. And that one got nominated. And then there was the other one, animation from Africa. It was like animation, hand-drawn film. It got nominated. So we had 3 films that were nominated. So then now after that, that's the first thing was we got letters, the 6 or 7, we got letters from Tribeca. Robert De Niro sent us a letter. Congratulations for doing it out of the house.
Wow.
Robert Redford sent us a letter, which I still have, thanking us like, God, that's just amazing that you're able to do this. We can help you out. Let us know. And I never really, I did pursue some grant money, but I was turned down a lot of times, well, maybe 3 or 4 times from ASC in Charlotte. Not just throwing their name out. They're not bad guys. They're actually helpful to the community, but it was more or less, I needed someone who writes grants to do the grant. And I was trying to do it myself. And then, we set a film jury. We did everything the complete opposite of any film festival did, but we were connected with the Palm Short Film Festival. We were connected with the LA Short. Matter of fact, today we had 2 films that dropped out, and I sat here all morning contacting the contacts I have from the LA. There's a film festival that's, if your film makes it, it becomes Oscar qualified. It's called the LA Shorts, LA something. I have to look it up, but contacted them and said, hey, you got any films that we can throw in at the last minute? Because I mean, the Independent Picture House wants the digital. It's called DCP. There's no more reel to reel in theaters. They're all DCP. It's a big file that they have to put it in order and get everything ready with the welcome screen and all that. All that has to be done. And they've really been nice working with me, because I tell you, last minute stuff always happens. So I found this one film by this guy, and I'll keep forgetting it's Friday. It's gonna be Friday the 13th, right? So I found this one film, and this just goes to show you how crazy things are today. This one film, it's called Get Away. And it's about a director. I think his name, Michael. Oh gosh, what was his name? But anyway, it's Oscar qualified. And I was scared because I was like, I'm gonna email him directly. And I emailed Michael directly, and I was like, nah, because when you become Oscar qualified, you don't really want your film out there too much. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
You just like pretty much like if you win, it's the opposite of winning a Grammy nominee. You want everybody to hear, but you really kind of you don't have time, because like you said, promoting that fact that we were the first film festival in Charlotte. These guys are promoting the fact, we're Oscar qualified now. They're not nominated, but they're qualified to be nominated. So his film won an award at the LA Shorts. And I emailed him at probably 9:00 this morning, and he's probably in California, which is 6:00. He emailed me back within an hour and said, we love to be a part of it. And the film it's perfect for Friday, because I didn't really have a lot of horror stuff. I got the end of the world kind of things. But what was crazy was I watched the film first before I emailed him, because he has it up online, just a little bit of it. And I was like, this is good. And I know both of you guys, just knowing like what I kind of know, I know I can tell by like the cult.
Yeah.
You're talking about culture, and
Yeah.
it's a. I'm not going to even spoil it. It's a very unique way of doing a horror movie. Like
Really?
if you come Friday, which you're welcome, you could be in the VIP section. If you come Friday, and I don't get to vote on any awards because I'm the founder and the artistic director.
Yeah.
Tony's on the jury, but I'm telling you, the jury would have saw this film in the way I just put it this way: if you come, every horror movie in the world should have done them. Somebody should have came up with this idea. And I'm not going to tell you that. That's how good it is. I mean, this is just my opinion. And you might go, oh,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right.
No, no,
But
no.
I'll give you a tip. Do you know when you go to a horror movie and people are like saying, oh my God, don't you go in that damn room? Or, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't run. They figure out a way to get what the audience is saying into the movie. It's a good twist. So I was so honored because I started looking at, because I'm on a panel that said, oh, don't fall for all these films and won all these awards. But I started looking at his progress of this film.
Yeah.
And how he won this award. And I was so, he said, man, I did the research on your film festival. You guys like a community film festival. You don't do no grants. You're not really making any money. And and his film could be a full-length film. That's how I was impressed. So then that one, we accepted that one, of course. Then I'm biased right now. And the other one is a film called, and you can look up both of these later. The other ones are called, but don't ruin it. Don't ruin it because they tell you the plot a little bit in some of those reviews. The second one is the one called The Stupid Boy, and it's another one that won a lot of awards. And the guy, he's like, I don't see y'all don't have no website. And I was like, you know what, we don't really need a website. Now people don't. Here's another thing. Connected to you and Tony talking about technology and culture and all that. People don't go to websites anymore unless it's a website that they're directed to or that's famous, like CNN.com or Fox. People don't go to cultural websites. They don't.
And Instagram has taken over that, and YouTube.
So we got an Instagram page, and our official page is the Facebook page. That's where all our people are on Facebook. So he's like, I don't see a this is how it started when I emailed him. I don't see official Facebook. I mean, I don't see no official website, and I've been gotten a lot of scams because my film. So I thought he was arrogant in the beginning, but he was like, I see a lot of film festivals, but he actually ended up being really, really cool. He this morning he sent me things like, we're ready, we'll be a part of it. And this film is about, and I hope if they hear me talking about their films, I'm not offending anybody because I love all of it. And I had to make executive decisions to add these two films at the end. And so this film is easy, the synopsis is easy to explain. So it's about two guys, kids. One of the guys is part of and this is all based in London. One of the guys is part of a growing white supremacist organization. And he's being tasked with doing something important. And the other kid is a kid who's really lively at home, good kid. He's being bullied. He thinks he's being bullied at home, at school. And their worlds colliding. That's all I'm gonna say. Excellent, in my opinion. Excellent. Those two. And then when he came back and said, we want to be a part of it, and I see, this is what, when you first meet someone, you don't know what they're going through, and you don't know who, text and email can't tell somebody's, personality.
That's the problem
right now. That's the problem. And so lost in translation was when he wrote back, was like, well, I don't see you. He was just trying to protect his creative, his creation. And when I went back over it and I started researching, I was like, God, this film's done. Look, this film won some. This film's been here, it's been there, it's been here, and it's won pretty much everywhere it's went. So that's why now I think the final films that I'm turning into Independent Picture House, it is strong. These films are strong. Even the little girl that was at the panel thing. So anyway, sorry I went on and on and on, but
no, that's great.
That pretty much catches you up in 19 years.
Okay, that about does it for part one of my interview with Antonio Diaz and Tony McCullough. Once again, check out the 15 Short Film Festival. It is Friday, October 13th, 2023, this year, at 7 o'clock at the Independent Picture House. As always, you can find me at Justin Yance. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider checking out the YouTube channel. And I will see you next time on the DMF.